I'm and Sean for this because I have no idea what's going on. Basically, guys, we're mainly Adam. Sean's just very nice guy. But mainly, I met you two crazy MFs, and you're like, dude, just jump in. We like you. Figure it out. We've got Jimmy in the house. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Like it's nice. I think this might be the first time I've ever been, a new show's cherry. I'll just put it that way.
A new show's
Dude,
cherry. I like you get
I'm always
maximalist.
the first guy on people's podcast all the time. I don't understand why. So, and then we got Corey. How you doing, sir?
Just because you're a caring podcast lover. Awesome.
Beard's looking strong, bro.
Yeah, I mean the white is I just have to look down a lot, and then you can't see that I'm just aging from the neck up, basically.
It's just that's just all your years in crypto, right there in the beard.
Yeah, and all the years that have been compressed into just this one, right? So I do think we can make generational wealth for real in the crypto industry.
You called it. You called it when I was on your show that it would make a run. You called it.
Yeah. Well, let me call this. My confidence level is not. Well, I'll put numbers to it. My confidence level that we're going to hit $1 on wax is about 96%. My confidence level that we're going to do it in November is about 70%. My confidence level that if we hit $2 in November, which is actually what the chart says is possible, we could hit $10 in December, is about 50%. So this is just the start.
I love it. I just listen to y'all and I just keep putting money in every week. That's my game. and I you know what it is? By the way, let's just talk what this is. So it's my first NFT show for Crypto Writer. Everybody, I'm Austin Linney. I'm a coach. I do a lot of real estate. And Adam was like, dude, you got to jump in this space. Everybody's amazing. He's like, just figure it out as you go along, bring amazing guests on. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to see where the conversation goes. Here's where we are from an outsider's point of view. Y'all live inside this bubble. There's and this is my philosophy with everything. There's too many smart people that I respect that are in the space. So if you're not in the space, figure it out. Don't be the last one to the party is pretty much my philosophy on most things.
Yeah, we're seeing something that, in 10 years, the confluence of play to earn, NFTs, metaverse, crypto will be seen as being the obvious play akin to the invention of the internet and the rolling of that out. And where it took, I think, probably 15 to 20 years for the internet to actually, realize its many orders of magnitude value increase. I think it's going to take, at most half that for this. I think over the next 5 to 10 years, again, generational wealth is going to get created. Even just, this cycle still, there's time left to do some real damage. But people thinking in terms of full market cycles for Bitcoin, I think NFTs, at least for the initial bit, are gonna that's at least gonna have a strong effect on it, right? Whether it stays permanent and correlated is definitely not for sure, because NFTs have this habit of just mooning whenever the fuck they want, which is really awesome. It's really epic, right? And we all kind of see it. We've been in it long enough to realize that there's been a dramatic shift in the way that we organize amongst ourselves, and that this is at the core of it.
But here's the rub that I can't, and I feel like I could quit my job, quit everything I ever do, and just only talk about this one subject when it was brought to me 2 days ago with my branding guy in Spain, that I could just write a book on, and I don't understand it. Maybe you can shed some light on it. He said, hey, you're in the vacation rental space. How fucking insane is it going to be when people pay $200 a night for a meta universe vacation and you don't have to have an actual asset? And I was like, hold on. What?
Wait, what?
I'm like, huh? And this is why I'm in Lake Tahoe staring at the mountains going, they can't recreate this in real life. And then I thought to myself, no, they can.
They can.
And so his comment was, you could be living in a dumpster and be the richest motherfucker in the world and have no actual hardcore assets because you're a really good builder or you bought programs. So guys, that's my topic, because please help me understand how this is a thing.
So, I mean, we run a little metaverse company called The Uplift. And we've always seen it as version 1.0 of what we're capable of, right? Like we're sort of using off the shelf to us parts with Minecraft and NFTs and crypto to you know, put together an experience that maps as close to sort of Ready Player One, you know, the positive parts of Ready Player One and you know, things like Snow Crash.
I haven't watched this movie apparently because I've heard it 17 times.
Oh yeah, dude, almost like show's over. Go watch Ready Player One, everyone. Bye. Like that's like it's really really important because I think like once people just sort of viscerally inside of a story get the experience of, you know, you're walking around in this digital space and it's as real as anything, right? You have a persistent place within this that is yours. You have stuff there that is yours. You're able to, you know, encode things over time and build up, you know, a history and a presence and a placeness that's all your own, right? I mean, that to me is what the metaverse really means, right? It's taking this geospatial orientation that we're really used to as you know, hyper intelligent monkeys and bringing it into the digital space. And you know, from art to buildings to architecture to all the rest of the stuff, just having neighbors, right? So that we're at the beginning of that, and we're already seeing just in our world, people basically renting out their unused space, land that they have that they're not using yet, for other people to build on. Right now, is it $200 a night? No, right? But that's where you're building in an experience that has so much value that people would pay that. And I think working backwards from that, we could figure out how to do that in the Uplift, right? It's not going to be like a beach stay, but you could figure out some gaming or some, you know, some way to motivate someone to actually do that within the Uplift right now. Like I think that's entirely possible. So I think we're in one sense pretty far away from that.
I want to be the consultant on this because this is
do it.
Crazy.
I'm just like somebody's going to make it happen.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, so Corey talks about this, you know, he used to talk about it more, not so much these days, but he always talked about Ready Player One, right? And so to go back to that, one of my favorite quotes that I've ever heard anyone ever say, they were talking about, I think like in Jordan, there's this massive, you know, temple that's carved into the rock face. And then there are all these people that live in these caves, like across from it, right? And I was watching this travel show once and they were talking about it and they said, you know, would you rather live in the temple and look across at all these like people living in the caves, or would you rather live in the cave and have this awesome temple view, right? And so what's weird about this is in the metaverse now, I've been kind of thinking about this, right? Like, but when you brought that up, my mind for some reason went to this weird place. It was like, you know, if you're a multi-millionaire or a multi-billionaire in the metaverse, right, but you're living in a dumpster, you're probably like these Ready Player One people, right? Like they were living, you know, their lives, essentially all of their lives in the metaverse, right? Like they were running the games, they were doing all of these things. Do they actually care about real world value, right? Like if they're plugged into the metaverse that much, like do they care about like real world real estate? What part of the real estate is more important to them? Is it that, you know, virtual world that they basically made their whole entire, you know, their whole entire wealth or their whole entire being out of, or is it the physical world? And, you know, Corey kind of mentioned like the good parts of Ready Player One, because definitely if you're plugged into the metaverse like 48 hours a day, then like you're probably going to be suffering in real life in health and in these other things, right? So what is that balance, right? Like, you know, you said, can you recreate that beauty of Lake Tahoe? I mean, visually, sure, you can. But like, I like that place of presence, that place of being. We can't do that right now, but we might be able to someday. Now, what does that look like? Like, how is that affect people in general? Like, I don't know, right? Like, you know, even these things with these VR goggles and stuff now, right? Like you can get motion sickness. if you're wearing them. So you have to be like moving when you're doing things. And like, I don't know how any of that looks, right? But I can totally see people being like homeless in a sense, right? Like living really run down, dirty apartments and living their whole life as like metaverse billionaires, having tons of money, you know, being like moguls in that space. I can totally see it being a reality someday. I just wanted to say that, like, I don't know whether that's going to be true or not, but like, it would make sense to me, right?
Thank you.
I don't know if it's in 100 years or 1,000 years, right? But what they're building with Neuralink, they're basically, if anyone's read the culture novels by Ian Banks, highly recommended, like top 3 sci-fi series of all time. You know, they basically inject this computer mesh that sits between your dura layer and your brain, you know, in between your skull and your brain, basically, right? And creates an instantaneous connection with, you know, the internet, yada, yada, yada. So seeing that, of course, Elon Musk is like, yeah, hold my beer, right? And really, it's as a defense mechanism to keep up with AI that is going to outstrip us inevitably, right? It's a way for us to basically catch that technological wave and not just get missed by it. So again, I don't know if it's in 100 years or in 1,000, but base reality will be deeply uninteresting to someone that can walk into an actual virtual world that for all the universe feels way more real than this. You will have far more sensory perception. You will have complete and total freedom to operate, you know, basically in your own imagination at all times with everyone else. And it'll just be, you know, a 2, 3, 4 order of magnitude deeper experience to live in that universe. And so having something that will just take care of your meat robot that is the size of a coffin, right? You know, it, like, never mind the dumpster, right? Like, you'll just have a really good coffin. And people will absolutely do it because it'll be better than this.
There's that scene in the Matrix, right, where they walk into that building and everyone's dreaming. Like, is this where you plug yourself into the dream, essentially, right?
100%.
Right?
This is not like a surprising thing. We're already doing it, right? At this low fidelity level.
Jimmy set me up. I have a unique perspective with this because my day job is to spend inside people's stories and make them a better person. Stop using drugs. You know, create their mindset. So my worry is, as we push farther away from running from our problems, which the meta universe could be doing, then your reality life will basically suffer like a motherfucker. Like, that's my concern, is like, as we push farther away, you're already running from, you know, I was a drug addict for, you know, years, an alcoholic. You're already running. Are you just running again into the meta universe because you can create whatever you want? And so your real life might suck, right? And the husband's not paying attention to the wife.
I'll let you go, Corey, because I've got it.
Yeah. I think you're, especially considering what you do, your instinct is correct, and I'm not saying that won't be an issue. How many times are you on a stream every day?
On how many times am I what?
How many times are you on a stream like this every day, or on the internet? Like, how many hours for work?
All day.
Yeah. Are you addicted to it? Is it causing the same kind of issues as drugs or alcohol? Because, like, this is just a tool.
Yes and no.
Okay. In what way is it doing it?
I really wish I could get off social media, but it's where 90% of my business lives. So.
Why do you want to get off social media other than the fact that other people tell you that you should?
Because I just like the political stuff and just the BS.
Oh,
like
yeah. I left Facebook for that.
Yeah.
And really, and it's funny too, because I left the network that I created, having spent, you know, time doing,
like,
you know,
like here's my concern.
Yeah,
I don't want to go off on a rant. I'm not going to go off on a rant.
No, I think it's important for us to delve in.
But tell me why Bob, who's 65 years old, who's been spoon-fed bullshit his whole life because his daddy had money and they made it off of guns or liquor, that I need to listen to Bob about how I should live my fucking life.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where we have to own, this is a huge lesson I learned. We have to own the networks that we create on social media.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the reason that Bob is in your feed is because you let him be there. You actually had to actively choose him being there. Right? So actively choose to kick the fucker right out of your feed. right? Which is why I'm ruthless about it. 'Cause it's about life design, right? Like that, the people that I want to have around me, I want the most dynamic, intelligent, heartful,
Because
people.
you're open to a contrary point of view.
Oh yeah, if it's delivered in a sane way, right? I want to absolutely have that conversation. But it also, like, I demand that it be a conversation. If we're having a conversation around, anything at all, and it's really clear that it's ideologically bent in a way that I myself used to argue many years ago, right? I'll just instantaneously back out of it because the ROI on that conversation is less than zero. Like, I know that it's going to take time. I know that nothing will come of it, and I just won't do it anymore. Right. And so that's we have to make that active choice all the time too. Right. So then, like, this really, all the entire thing that we're doing on the internet is just dramatically increasing the number of potential connections we have. And now we have to be mindful how we interact with those connections, right? Because they absolutely can, bend towards that, creating learned behaviors that are just reactions over and over and over again, whether it be in the political sphere or, like, thinking that joining a flat earth Reddit is a good idea, whatever it is, right? Like those repetitive patterns that can happen in the human brain, they're just going to happen more often when we, 10x or 100x the number of potential network connections that we all have as people, right? And the metaverse will absolutely do that again. But I think we're learning the lessons on how to bend that to our will in a positive way that, again, makes that experience far more spiritually, emotionally, human relevant than anything that happens in the real world.
So one of the very first things that Corey and I think kind of liked about each other was, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure I said to him at one point, like, one of my favorite things is when somebody, like, proves that I'm wrong, because, like, it doesn't happen very often. And he's like, me too. And, like, we kind of, like, right. And so I think that's kind of interesting. I want to use the contrary kind of view to this, right? Because I kind of understand maybe from your perspective where you're coming from, but you're looking at this from a very negative point of view, like people running away from life, people moving away from life, people moving into the space, right? Actually, what's interesting is, for me, it's actually the opposite. My perspective is different because most of the people that I've met, at least in the uplift world, they're running to something that was missing in that small town that they were a part of. These people that they could, Corey and I, like, we've become, like, really, really good friends, right? Like, probably one of my best friends ever, and I've never met the guy, right? I've never shook his hand. I've never given him a hug. We've only had this virtual relationship. But, like, I feel like, I'm knocking on his door every day, walking in and making myself a coffee. That's how close I feel to him, right? And so I think, like, there's two sides to this, right? There's a balance to this where, like, I would have never met you. I would have never walked into a hotel and listened to you speak about real estate. That's on me, but I'm really glad that I met you.
Yeah.
It took this kind of, metaverse or this kind of scenario to bring these people, like some of these people that we're working with in Yoshi Drops or Crypto Writer or the Uplift World or Legend, like, probably we would have never got to know these people, and they're actually bringing value to our lives in the sense that, like, we're getting something that we're able to think about, that we're able to work towards collectively, that I wouldn't be able to do in my small town of 2,000 people, right? Or my big city of 20 million people, because I don't talk to anyone in the real world, right?
Well,
so there's that side too.
One of the things that I think this conversation is leaning towards, and I've got 2 points here, is that what it made me realize when you talk about digital real estate is now in decentralizing money and the internet, is that you're losing borders, you're losing parameters where I can operate. Maybe I could sell a house in Spain. Maybe I could do all the things that I want to do. But here's where I'll go with my coaching. I have most of my clients online. Nobody lives directly near me, but I've flown to where they are, and we'll forego a Zoom meeting to walk and talk, right? And they said, listen, I don't mind you digitally, but I get way more out of being directly close to you, right? Like, It feels better. So if I created a coaching program where we walk together in the meta universe in nature, holy fuck, we could open up new doors to how they see the coaching.
Yeah, man, that hits me right in the feels. I'm in Tampa right now, a little bit north of Tampa, and I'm missing NFT New York City because I had to take care. I didn't have to. I chose to take care of my niece who's going through kind of a pretty rough patch. She's a teenager, rebelling like a teenager, but like things escalated and kind of been getting out of control or whatever, right? So my brother was going out of town, so I'm like, listen, like I'm just going to come up and hang out. And I haven't seen them much over the pandemic, and building a relationship and really just trying to help her get out of a hole that she's dug for herself, and she's a brilliant person or whatever. So it's basically doing that, and I'm really grateful that I made that call just yesterday. She asked if we can go take my dogs for a walk, so we're taking the dogs for a walk. The level of conversation that we had while just kind of meandering around with the dogs, like instantaneously. And I would be willing to bet, again, like is the experience of walking around in the uplift as an example of that same kind of experience? No, not yet, right? But in the absence of being able to literally do that physically, that's exactly what people started to do with each other during the pandemic. They couldn't connect physically, and so they started connecting in what became the uplift. And that's when we knew we were like deeply onto something that was going to be really important. So I absolutely love that idea.
What's interesting about people, and we were talking about this on my group coaching call on Monday. Music and environment does things to you that other things can't, right? And so like I'm obsessed with Spain, like southern Spain especially. Like I fucking Andalusia, Portugal is like I just love the people. They're amazing. So if I could get up every morning and walk, I do a 45-minute walk every morning in Granada, right? And you're hearing the music and you're seeing the buildings, like I know I would be happier, right? And so we talk to a lot of people in the recovery space, a lot of people that have centers, and they talk about every time they get somebody new, they take them on a hike, right? And in the hike, they just open, like it's just like an open book.
It's incredible.
If they're in a room, they're guarded, right? So here's the problem. There's 3 parts of your brain. The number one part of your brain that access information the first time anybody meets you is an alligator brain. An alligator brain is built on survival. They don't want to hear numbers. They're very cautious. So if you get them in a place where their sensories are kind of overload with beauty and sound and birds and nature, their defenses are down because they're taking it all in. So as I say that out loud, dude, this sounds fucking awesome. Like that really sounds cool.
And like, as with everything, right? MVP, let's test this immediately, right? But I do want to add, like a couple months back, I started getting requests from like journalist types to come in and not journalist types, they were actually journalists to do a couple different interviews, right? I don't know why I did that. I'm like journalists.
Well,
they were both really
they
cool.
Really exist these days. Yeah.
Actual journalists. Yeah, that was a strange.
Dude, I had a guy call me the other day, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna do a quick phone interview, and I'm gonna write this down." And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm a journalist." I was like, "Oh fuck! Like you still exist?"
Right? That's still cool. But it was super interesting. I had like 2 separate calls. One where it was just like an interview. Dude was asking me questions over Zoom. Very, very deadpan, very professional, fine, right? And so we had fun. It was difficult to read, but they dug it. It was cool, whatever. The other one, I made the guy come into the uplift, and I took him for a tour. We went for a walk in the uplift. The guy was clearly on the edge of his chair, losing his freaking mind, smiling like a lunatic, feeling like a kid again, right? And just like that the difference there was immediate and instantaneous and impactful, right? So yeah, I'm excited to see what you do with this.
We're gonna let Jimmy talk here in a second, but I would love to do our coaching calls. If I was coaching you, Corey, you and I on a speedboat, like powering through the lake, like, and we're just like yelling over the wind, like, "Hey, how are you feeling today?" I can so see that happen.
For some reason my mind just went to that like Waterboy scene where they're running through the river with the crocodile boat in the swamp. I don't know why I was thinking like Florida. But yeah, I don't have that much to say, to be honest. Like, just listening to that, and I think that it's quite interesting. Like, I never thought that my life would be here, right? Like, I'm a philosopher, but like before that, I was going to be a sports doctor. Like, I was quite active, I like climbing mountains, like you. I like traveling, right? And then the pandemic happened and I couldn't travel. And I ended up getting involved with blockchain, meeting Blue through that, doing an interview with Corey and saying, oh, shit, well, that was fun. Let's do this again next week and the week after and the week after, to the point where we were doing it every single day, and still, with the exception of weekends, still doing that. Right. So I never actually planned to have a life where I was living online. Like, I had to go get a new mouse today. I went to the to a big electronics store, one of the biggest electronics stores in the world, right? And I was frustrated. I'm like, I'm an online guy who was in an electronics store that everyone wants to go to. Like, it's 6 floors. It's a madhouse. Everything you could ever possibly imagine would be there. And I'm frustrated because I just want one mouse that I can get that I know will work and I can take home so I can get the hell out of there, because I don't want to be like stuck in this crazy like tech thing, right? And like, here I am talking about technology on a show, right? So it's really interesting that, like, for me, I'm a really big social person, but if I go to a party and there's too many people, I'm the guy that's sitting outside the front of the party, just hanging out with a few people. And then when everyone comes out to the party and they're all hanging out and there's too many people again, I'm the guy that goes inside, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm always kind of moving away from people. So it's weird to have this life now where I'm like out there where potentially the whole world could see me, but like, I don't have to actually be physically there with them. Mm-hmm. Like, with people like Corey, it sucks. Because like, I would love to just sit down and have a beer and not have everyone watching us, right? But for the majority of people, like people who are in the comments and things like that, like, it's kind of nice to know that I can have this like outer facade. And I think it's even more exponential in the way that a lot of people interact with video games or with metaverses or with social media, right? And for me, it seems like the metaverse, at least, right? People seem to be more themselves. I don't know why, but there seem to be less fake personalities than I come across. Sure,
but you want to know why they seem that way?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
they seem that way. I thought we were having Adam. He said he was going to join. They seem that way. Oh, good Lord!
I was teasing.
Here he goes. Jeez. Say, listen. It's not your fucking show, all right? I'll let you go. All right, just hold on. They seem that way because perfect. I'll give you my perfect example. When I started a podcast through the middle of my divorce, like literally the week I got divorced, I'm thinking to myself, like, why the fuck am I doing this? Who wants to talk to me? Like, why am I even bringing this up, right? And then I told myself, you know what? For a year and a half, I'm not going to look at any of the downloads. I'm just going to do my thing. And if one person gets value from 100 episodes, we're good. And when you suspend reality of feeling like the spotlight's on you, you allow yourself to be yourself. And my biggest issue with kids these days is all the things that you're trying to stomp out of them. That's everything that they tried to stomp out of me in middle school and high school, they now champion me for in my abilities. Oh, you're very creative. You're great with people. You have high energy. In high school and middle school, shut the fuck up, be quiet, you suck at school. And I'm like, that's my issue with kids. It's like, nobody's allowed to dream anymore. And so if the meta universe allows adults to be a kid again, then maybe they can tap into a part of who they were. Now, Adam, one of the things we're talking about that I had to wrap my head around, which I still can't, is that vacation rentals per night digitally, no hard assets.
Can you restate that?
So let's say that you recreate the hotel that I'm currently in Tahoe, and people would pay $50, $100 a night to experience the hotel, but be sitting in a room in Spain.
Would people want to experience the hotel that bad?
Well, like, let's say that you live in Texas and you've never been to Spain, and they recreate all the sounds, the noises, the mariachi band, like the whole thing.
So it's
the smell of mildew on the bed sheets.
So you're saying like metaverse hotels, basically?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you really got to sell it, but there's no reason to say no. I've definitely, you sent me that thing on, I think it was like Instagram the other day, which by the way, you'll see hanging out over here. Guys, we got to get Austin more comfortable on Twitter. I know he's getting there. But look, you sent me that clip.
We're on this show. One thing at a time, okay? This was enough just to get this up and going. Right?
Basically, you sent me this little quote that's at the end of the day, everything is going completely digital. So it's kind of weird, like ridiculous to think that not everything you can possibly think of is going to be digitized at some point. And I'm like,
well, like perfect example. Perfect example. Tahoe, Japan, Canada, Miami.
I was going to say, actually, I didn't know where Corey is. Okay, cool. Nice. Crypto capital Corey.
Yeah, and originally from like the Arctic in Canada, so like I just am a massive proponent for the Miami for sure. Hey, are you guys coming to the Miami crypto experience next week?
I wish. I know Miami's the place to be for that. Definitely.
So Adam just spent like 6 weeks in America. They probably won't let him back for a little bit.
Actually, I will be in Florida in January. Corey, from the 4th through the 19th, I'll be in Fort Myers area. So I was supposed to hang out with all you guys last time, and I actually got COVID, but I should be good this time. So
cool.
Sean Ballant, I see you in the comments as well. That goes for you too.
No, but yeah. So I just want to say, yes, it's live, and the person who was heckling before, I put you in a 5-minute timeout to prove it. So keep heckling, and I'll do that to the rest of you.
Whoa!
I mean, I'm just saying, like, just don't like. We're trying to get good conversation here from Austin Linney, the master. Like, you know,
was he talking shit on me?
No, he was just talking shit. Like, are you guys live? Wink once, wave twice. I'm like, fuck, you want me to prove to you're live? There's a 5-minute timeout. There, we're live. Done.
Right.
Finished.
I got a wink for you. Keep coming. Yeah. But Adam, I told Corey and Jimmy at the beginning, here's my philosophy on everything, right? Because here's the issue, is technology is moving so quick that you have to stay up. If enough smart people are in a space, you figure out your space. You jump in and you just figure it out later. It's the same thing I did in crypto. But here's all this talk. Corey, you said it earlier. It reminds me of one thing: personal brand. You have to own your network, your channel, everything. And I think that's where everything's going. Mm-hmm. And so, Adam, when you got started, you jumped in. Now you're doing 9-hour shows. That's a whole nother concept. I don't know how you work, but that's neither here nor there. But
whoa,
what have you taken away from your short time with your show and just kind of your overall view of everything?
I think my biggest takeaway, Austin, you could attest to this too, is like, well, I've been seriously podcasting since 2017. I've been playing around with video and stuff since probably 2010, but doing my own show since then. And my biggest takeaway is what I like about our community here, and probably people who are with us in the comments, is you have pretty much at any point in time a live audience that's ready to hang out with you. And with my other shows, that was there, but on a good day, we're talking like 5 people, and it's not like you and I are putting out bad stuff either, Austin. It's just like, we've kind of, as podcasters, we've been searching for someone who cares about what we have to say, because we know we have good things to say, quite frankly. And so my biggest takeaway is, okay, like from a consistency perspective, if I quit podcasting in 2020 or whatever, I would have never met everyone here. But I kept going, and eventually, like, I found a crypto community that really, if we just keep hanging out here, like, one, we're going to get really smart, as you mentioned, with stuff that most people have no idea about. And 2, I mean, if there's any sector to just position yourself as a influencer, in my opinion, like, crypto is the best place to be, because again, it's growing so fast. It's so early. Besides everyone who's hanging out with us here, for most of the world just hasn't woken up to this stuff yet. So when they do start waking up, they're going to turn to us as experts much quicker than probably anyone in like a comparative industry. So I just find that cool. That's been my biggest takeaway and what gets me most excited. But I guess, like, yeah, in summary, the other thing that our hey guys, what's up, everyone in the comments, this community here has taught me is, like, sounds corny, whatever, but like just keep going, keep persevering, keep pressing record, keep doing what you're best at, keep talking. And that's what we're all 4 of us are definitely good at. So leverage it.
I mean, the uplift came directly from that, right? I was doing like kind of an everything whateversville podcast, and to your point, like we've been doing it for years. Had anywhere from like a dozen to sometimes 100 people watching in a day, but we were super consistent, doing it constantly, not growing very fast, frankly. We're like, we gotta make this more interesting, just so we are having fun, right? So we talked about, doing interviews in Fortnite. And then 2 middle-aged dudes played Fortnite and got wrecked by a bunch of 7-year-olds over and over and over again. The content was not great. It was funny, but
Was that you guys?
What's that?
Was that you and Jimmy?
No, it was me and my buddy Greg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, actually,
so
go ahead.
Yeah, Fortnite wasn't working, so we changed to Minecraft and started a server that became the Uplift.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I only heard about Jimmy's influence on the Uplift. I didn't know Corey's piece.
Yeah, it came from wanting to explore that. So just like, and you never really know where it might head. So like constantly throwing spaghetti at the wall in this bleeding edge technology kind of place, right? I mean, Austin, your idea this morning, like it's not a matter of
dude, I'm telling you,
if we can
right
create
now,
that experience.
Loving that one.
Wait, no,
Wait, it's just how.
That's good, but we have even better one, Adam. So when I fly and I meet my clients in person and we walk, they're like, look, don't get me wrong, I don't mind Zoom, but when I coach and you walk with me, it's amazing. So I'm going to create a meta universe where I coach and we walk in different nature settings.
Okay.
So they open up, and then like that.
You guys got him on the metaverse. Is that your fault?
It's Corey's fault. But
I mean, he came in guns loaded, ready to take shots at the bullseye of the future of potentially every business relationship that's out there. And what's interesting about that is, like, I live in Japan, as many people know, and Japan, since before the bubble, how they did business was they went out and they went golfing. Right, you fly somebody into your town, you go and you go out and you go golfing, and it's not like back home where like you can buy like $1,000 or $2,000. You can buy a season's pass where you can just go wherever you want. Like here, golf memberships are essentially run to the point where they're part of your estate. Right, like you're holding these golf memberships at some of these premier golf and country clubs, and they're ridiculously expensive. Right, like these are no cheap rounds of golf, and they're status symbols, right? Like so much so that it kind of destroyed golf for me, because I'm the type of person who likes to take off my Birkenstock sandals on the green and putt like in my bare feet. Like that's the type of golfer I am. And like, General Moses, like you're a Canadian hack golfer for sure. Like we've all done that.
Any chance you get to take your shoes off in Canada is an opportunity.
And then totally, yeah. So like I could like totally see that, right? Like because like some of the most successful business deals are already made in places like this, out after this type of camaraderie, type of walking, whatever you're doing, right? But now you get to the point where it's just like, hey, yeah, okay, I'm gonna meet this client, like we're gonna talk about business, what should we do? It's like, holy shit, let's go in here and let's just do some like parkour, or like get on a skateboard and like ride it around Times Square, and when you bail, like you don't end up in the hospital. Like it changes everything, right? And you can have these experiences with these people that like kind of build that.
You know what the number one thing that adults don't do anymore? There's those like 3 things they don't do anymore. They don't laugh, they don't smile, and they don't have fun. So if you can bring back those 3 things, then you can awake things inside of you that you didn't even know existed. You know what's the number one question I ask my clients when I meet them? What did you like to do when you were 15? Go do that.
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of the answer right now.
It's simple. You want to know the number one job I wanted when I was a kid. The first job I ever wanted was to be a garbage man. Do you want to know why? Because they rode on the back of the trucks, and he used to throw footballs with us, and he was the nicest fucking guy I ever met. He loved his job.
That's awesome.
That's what I saw as a kid. And so regardless of how stressful my clients make me, I get to see joy on their face again. And when your coaching's working, because it's happened 3 times this week, when your coaching client's wife texts you, thank you. That's when you know your fucking coaching is working.
Cool,
and
man.
so if I can create a space where we can do more of that, where I could go play golf with my client for 45 minutes and we get to talk about life.
You might be onto something with the digital golf, I'm thinking.
I know, dude. Jimmy, I'm not going to lie to you. Let's become the leaders in digital golf.
I feel like I'd be better at that too.
We are the marketplace. We are the marketplace for business meetings. You pay to use our courses, and you get to play St. Andrews, Masters, and you get to have a 45-minute meeting on a golf course. Done.
Or you can cut deals with those with those courses too, like sponsorship or something, you know. So that way you could use their course. I don't know, or you could just copy it.
Dude, seriously. Corey, what do you think about that, man? I love this idea.
Yeah, I mean there's something to it, right? Trying to redirect that culturally. I mean, I'm not in that space, so I have no freaking clue.
I think
right?
that most people who are probably culturally playing golf to like do deals, most of them aren't going to even
No.
most
They're not going to get it, right? But like, what's like translating that for ourselves is very interesting, to the point where the next time I have a business meeting, like, I don't play golf, don't give a shit about it, but that idea, you know what's really fun? Getting in boats in the uplift and just like wandering around. Right? And no direction, just a couple dudes in rowboats rolling around like that kind of thing, right? Because then you can take that in a million different directions, and we'll find out over the next, coming months and years what sticks the most, right? And remake that culture like that. What's the metaverse version of that that has people coming in doing this other thing to accomplish the main thing. Like, I think that there's a lot of room for interpretation and experimentation there.
And if you are in the uplift, go and get in a rowboat and row yourself around, because this happened a lot. This happened a lot. Corey and I, we would get on the stream and our guest wouldn't show up, or we wouldn't have a guest, or they would cancel. And we're just like, well, what do you want to do? It's like, well, fuck, let's just get in a rowboat and row around and see what we can find, right? Like that. Our early days of our show consisted of like a good, at least 5% of just rowing around aimlessly in boats, talking and shooting the shit.
But you know what my advice is to people as we talk about this and throw out crazy ideas, and this is what people don't do anymore. Just try. Just get out there. Like, do something that's not you, or you have like turn on record, figure it out. Like, the moment that I don't want to post something, the moment that I don't want to post a video or write the article or write the post, is the moment that somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, thank you. So just do it anyway. Like, this is wildly uncomfortable for me, from a guy who's done 450 podcasts in a year. This is wildly uncomfortable for me, because I still don't think I know what an NFT is, but that's not the point of the show. The point of the show is, now I have an idea that will never leave my brain. I'm doing all my fucking coaching from a rowboat. That just fucking makes me so happy.
Even like, I want to see more people. I was actually talking to my brother who doesn't know anything about this at all, and I want him to actually start a show, like basically just getting introduced with a total beginner's mind to the gazillions of projects that are really, really amazing in this space. So like, I think like bringing the beginner's mind to this with all of your, coaching experience and business experience, it's gonna be high value. Just like take your imposter syndrome and beat the shit out of it.
No, and 100%, because what people don't understand is what you're pushing up against is things that you don't even like know existed, right? Like, look, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I'm taking a coaching certification right now. And to be 100% vulnerable, I had a 1.5 hour call with the leader of the group who's been doing coaching for 20 years. And full disclosure, I cried for fucking an hour and a half. And he said 20 fucking words in an hour and a half, because he's a language expert and he's a writer. And he made me write down all my stories of drug addiction and my issues with my father. And everything came down to 4 words. And those 4 words summed up 25 fucking years. And I'm a different human. My buddy that I coach with saw me at 11 and saw me at 6. And he goes, I don't know what happened to you. Did you take drugs? You feel lighter, different. It's because I choose to be in the arena And he said, look, winners show up when they don't want to. And he goes, you're out there, you're pushing up against you, right? And so you might find something in this community. You might find someone or something about yourself by just pressing record and saying, I'm going to be okay with being uncomfortable. And that's what everybody on this call is willing to do, because we don't even know what's going to stick. In business, do you know how many times it takes you to fail as in companies to go, you know, I lost $26,000 in an Airbnb company that I look back now and say, I don't even think that had anything to do about Airbnb. It had to teach me business, like who I was as a business partner, a needy, you know, like lying to myself about what I needed. And I'll take more from that experience because I got sober because of those business partners. And how many people will I affect for the positive because of meeting those guys and losing $26,000? I'll do it again tomorrow, right? That's not what a lot of people say. So the thing that you're starting, the thing that you're getting into business may not even be the reason why you're getting into the business. You have to look at it from a perspective, a different outlook.
That's good cake.
Yeah. I like the lifestyle. I don't know if you've shared that one on the show yet before, Austin, but you know, building your lifestyle, building your just like your workflow around your lifestyle instead of the other way around.
Well, the quote is that everybody's building a business and then building a lifestyle around it instead of building a lifestyle and then building a business around it. It's the whole concept for the podcast. Construct your life. I've heard Corey and Jimmy say it, life by design.
Well, it's interesting because I think most people don't do that, right? Most people, I mean, they orient their lives around the career that they want, or they do what they have to do to get by. And that kind of drives me a little bit mad because like my mom used to always say this, and I was a little bit of a different world, but you know, there's a lot of people out there that have these ideas that they do what they have to do. And I don't know, because it's not easy to like give up your dreams and raise kids and have to get a job at a factory or something like that. Like, because there's a lot of people that did that, especially in North America over the course of 20 years, right? There's a lot of people that like, you know, my dad was a farmer. He worked really hard. He had to make a decision to get out of farming, and that was probably the best decision of his life. Like, he gave up his dream, but he was happier for it in the end because like he was like a mechanic and doing things like that, right? But he was kind of a weird case, I think, in that day and age, you know, to do that. And so I worked at a factory when I was younger, and there were a lot of people who have that mindset that they're like, they have to do this. There's no other option for them. They can't, they need a 9-to-5 job. They need a job to pay the bills. And then I've also worked in careers and jobs where there's like professionals, right? Like people who were, you know, gunning to be, you know, the marketing manager or the like driving to be like a doctor, right? Like these types of people who are like totally career driven. And then there's entrepreneurs, right? And the entrepreneurs are the people I think who are maybe the ones that are building that lifestyle. I don't know. I could be wrong, but like Austin, you're kind of more of an expert on this than me, but like, does that sound right? Or is there other categorizations that I'm missing? Like, no. There's not that many.
My favorite quote is hard choices, easy life, easy choices, hard life. Because no sane person decides to be an entrepreneur. Like, you have to be a little bit crazy, but what you realize is this one concept. It's the number one thing we talk about on my other podcast. Work-life balance is the biggest horseshit pile I've ever existed in my life. What you're looking for is control of schedule. Mm-hmm. As an entrepreneur, guess what, guys? This week, I just did it. I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to wait a year. I'm going to do it. I am going to go create multiple businesses, 2 podcasts, you know, 6 figures, and I'm not scheduling a fucking single meeting on Thursday or Friday. It's not happening. Today, I'm going 5 to 5 all fucking day. Back to back, baby. Same as I did Monday, same as I did yesterday. But guess what's on the schedule for tomorrow? A big pile of fucking nothing. My friend's in from LA. We're going to go hike, hang out. That's what I'm going to do. because I control my schedule. And I say, you know what? I don't want to do the meeting on Thursday, but I got Monday open next week. That's what an entrepreneur does.
That's why you kicked me off on Thursday.
Now that being that being said, it's very hard in the crypto space when the world never stops.
Yeah, I mean, we got 3
So
4 months left in this. Like,
I'm actually going to quit coaching business people, and I'm going to 100% focus on coaching crypto guys to turn off their brain. That's what I'm going to.
Yes, look, for real, dude. I have to listen to audiobooks at night. Because if I'm not listening to something, my brain just goes ping, 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 ping. Melatonin.
Dude, you know what my girl said the other day? I was listening to Alex Hormozy, who's my favorite content dude, business guy. This dude is out of control. And I was listening to it on 2.5, and she goes, "We're not even humans anymore. We're robots." And then I tried to listen to it on 1, and I go, "Is he talking slow? What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, listening on 1 definitely.
It's
definitely.
like
1 doesn't even feel
muggles.
real anymore.
Yeah, it's too slow. It's incredibly too slow.
You know,
now here's the thing I hate the worst. When you get a weird accent in the audible on the speaker, and you try to go to 2.5, and you can't even understand it because his accent's. It's like certain. You know what? Now we need to have audiobook guys whose voice sounds better at 2.5. That's who they. You could make a living off of sounding.
That'll end up happening, right? Or record. Yeah, that's good call. We'll see that within the next 5 years, probably 2 years.
It's like, dude, his tagline is, "I am amazing at 3x."
Right? Exactly. I sound super good, super fast. You're welcome.
Oh man.
So here's what we're gonna do.
The URL's too long.
Adam, I would imagine you have a meeting, right, Adam?
I'm just you just talking about sleep. I wanted to send that to Corey. That URL is way too long, but that ashwagandha helps me sleep like a freaking baby. So
oh, cool.
I was just gonna send that, and it's all natural.
So guys, this is my first NFT show. Adam, awesome. I did it. We did it. I did it.
Oh, is this the end of the line?
No,
yeah,
we're gonna
jump on
yeah.
Corey and Jimmy's show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna put the second half over there. We probably could have just done the whole thing
here. Do you have
a
meeting, Adam?
I sent him the link, so if you can come.
I got a call in a half hour.
All right, you gonna come on with us?
I will definitely hop on the
Jimmy, did you send me the link?
I did, but I can send it again. That's perfect, General Moses. You're half an hour late, and you leave a half an hour early. It works out perfect. Perfect schedule. The man of his own schedule. He scheduled it in perfectly.
That's right. I run on my own time. You know, I'm an entrepreneur.
The prima donna of this crypto, like he is the prima donna. For sure.
Wait, you guys are. I'm like sitting here. I'm like, when are Corey and Jimmy gonna start? You know, like friendly making fun of Austin. That day is coming. It's coming,
dude. No, but all Jimmy does is make fun of you, though. So it's perfect.
I know. Well, because see, we're on that level. I'm on that level with you. I guess I'm still getting to know Corey, so it's coming.
No, it's coming.
All right.
That's like, you know, the show's matured to like the next level. When it's all just ball busting 101.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
multi-directional.
Don't worry. When I was on the shift the other day, General Moses threw a couple hammers down there, and they worked out really well. So
we had a lot of fun.
We did.
We got to follow up on some of that stuff too with the building and whatever. So
totally gonna have to do that. All right. So give us 5 minutes, then pop on over. You know, coffee, whatever you guys need to get your
I'll see you in 5 minutes.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And come back to Austin Linney's show next week when he's going to rock it out with some other guests.
Here's what y'all don't know about me. I'll be getting some people on the show that you're like, how did he get him? I'm like, because I'm a seeking missile. Dude, I'm a connector. This is what I do. So if there's anybody out there that you want, send me a comment, shoot it to me. I'll go after and hunt them down. So
now, what if that person only agrees to come on a Thursday?
Just like
Gary
thanks for going to get them. Just have them on my show.
then we'll just send them your way.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, yeah.
All right.
I'm trying to find it. What's the Uplift YouTube channel? I'm trying to find it. I'm gonna put it in the comments.
You know what's funny? We haven't ended the broadcast yet. It's just you and me.
And I have the authority to keep. I could keep this thing going if I want to.
Yeah, you could. I'm gonna end it though, because but yeah, I'll